Hey everybody, and welcome back to episode 171 of the EDH Commander Challenge semifinal bout. We've got two wonderful folks here battling it out for that final spot to go up against Emma and her kitty cat army. I am your host, Mr. Bevers, for the night. Get ready, buckle up. We got a fight for you right now. First up in this corner, we have the opening hand of Forest, Evolving Wilds, Altar of Dementia, Unwind, Fertile Ground, Acidic Slime. It's your boy, Xyris, the Writhing Storm. Represented by Phil, it's Casey, the Undeniable McClara. And in this corner, with an opening hand of Plains, Heliod's Pilgrim, Reprobation, Face of Divinity, Mesa Enchantress, and Decree of Justice, it's your Commander Sram Senior Edificer, represented today by Jemmy. It's Hexproof, the best bet Anarchist.
For their first turns, Phil plays and sacks Evolving Wilds to net an island from his deck into play tapped, while Jimmy plays a Plains. Phil plays a Forest and casts Fertile Ground, enchanting his island, while Jimmy plays a Basic and casts his General, Sram Senior Edificer. Phil starts his turn by casting Kasmina's Transmutation to turn Sram into a 1/1 frog with no abilities, and passes. Jimmy plays a Basic and casts Mesa Enchantress. Then he moves into combat and pokes Phil with his Sram Frog for 1 and passes. Phil plays Stomping Ground untapped, taking 2 damage, and passes. For Jimmy's turn, he casts Ethereal Armor to give it to Sram, but Phil casts Unwind to counter the spell and untap his lands. Jimmy does get to draw a card via his Mesa trigger as the spell was still cast. Then Jimmy moves into combat and pokes Phil again for 1 damage, before passing. For Phil's turn, he casts Opt, keeping the scryed card on top and then drawing it. Then he plays an island and passes. Jimmy plays a Basic and casts Face of Divinity, which he enchants his Frog Sram with, and since it was already enchanted, it gains in total +2/+2, First Strike, and Lifelink. Jimmy also draws a card off his Enchantress trigger. Then he casts Sentinel's Eyes, also enchanting his Frog Sram, giving it +1/+1 and Vigilance. He also draws again thanks to his Enchantress trigger. Then he moves into combat and attacks Phil with his powered up Frogger for 4 damage, while also gaining 4 life. Then he passes. For Phil's turn, he casts Acidic Slime, and with its ETB, he destroys Face of Divinity before passing. Jimmy plays a Basic and casts Heliod's Pilgrim. With its ETB, Jimmy adds the aura card Flickering Ward from his deck to his hand, which he then casts and enchants his Frogger Sram, calling green and granting the creature Pro Green, and also drawing a card via his Mesa trigger. Then he moves into combat and attacks with Sram again, this time for 2 damage as Phil can't block the hit. Then Jimmy passes. Phil starts his turn by casting Genesis Hydra, who comes in with 3 +1/+1 counters on him. Then Phil reveals his top 3 cards and gets to play the 3 CMC Jace Belrin and shuffles the other cards back into his deck. He then uses Jace's -1 to draw a card himself and passes. During the end step, however, Jimmy bounces his ward back to his hand. For Jimmy's turn, he plays a basic and recasts the ward, calling green once more and enchanting Sram again, and also gets to draw thanks to his Mesa trigger. Then he casts Gauntlet of Power, calling white and doubling his mana, while also giving all of his white creatures +1/+1. Then Jimmy moves into combat and attacks Jace with his unblockable Sram, destroying it before passing. For Phil's turn, he casts Nissa, Steward of Elements, who comes in with a single loyalty counter. Then he uses her +2 to scry 2, keeping both cards on top, and passes. For Jimmy's turn, he casts Aura Touch Mage, and with its ETB, he searches his deck and enchants the mage with Flicker Form. Then he moves into combat and attacks and kills Nissa with the unblockable Sram before passing. Phil plays Blighted Woodland and sacks it immediately to net a basic mountain and island from his deck into play tapped and passes. However, before his end step, Jimmy uses his Flicker Form to blink his mage out and then back into play to trigger its ETB, which allows him to enchant it with another aura from his deck, which in this case is Sage's Reverie. When it ETBs, it lets Jimmy draw cards for each aura he has on a creature, in this case giving him quite a bit more draw power. For Jimmy's turn, he plays a tapped Xyris Step. And with its ETB, he chooses to grant his mage protection from green for the duration of the turn. Then he casts Core Spirit Dancer, followed by Griff's Boon, which he enchants the Dancer with, and now gets to draw 2 cards thanks to it and his Mesa triggers. Next he casts Floating Shield, which he enchants the Dancer, calling green, giving the Dancer pro-green, and drawing 2 more cards. Next he casts Ward of Lights, enchanting his Aura Touch Mage, and also granting it pro-green with its effect before drawing yet another 2 cards. Then he moves into combat and attacks with both Sram and his mage, which in this case are unblockable as they have pro-green, and thus Phil takes a massive 14 damage. Then Jimmy passes his turn, discarding down to 7 cards. Phil, desperate for an answer, casts Windfall, causing both players to discard their hands and draw 7 as Jimmy had a full hand. Then he plays a forest and casts Thassa Deep Dwelling. Phil then passes and uses Thassa's effect to blink his slime, and when it ETBs, he destroys Jimmy's Gauntlet to take away his double mana and depower his creatures a bit. Jimmy responds, however, by using his Flicker Form's effect to blink his mage once again. When it ETBs, the Sage's Reverie nets him even more draw power, but he chooses not to grab another aura from his deck to enchant it with. Jimmy plays a Plains and casts Retether to return all of his auras from his grave back to play. Phil sees where this is going and decides to scoop it up, as Jimmy and Hexproof take the win, setting the stage for the finals. Hexproof's deck, played by Jimmy, has so much draw power it's hard to keep up, especially with cards like Sage's Reverie. Jim was able to draw cards he needed, even with a weakened Sram, to make sure that it was a race that he dominated and not once had to look back. Casey's deck, played by Phil, was already at a tremendous disadvantage, because even though he was doing his best to counter or destroy things that Jimmy put out with cards like Unwind or Acidic Slime, without cards like Tormod's Crypt to exile cards he got rid of, Jimmy's draw power and graveyard recursion was too overwhelming to keep pace with. Special thanks to my good friend Mr. Bevers for introducing this week's episode. If you love pack openings, whether it be for fun or for charity, please check out his channel and also follow him on Twitter. There'll be links to his socials in the description below. Do you agree with our picks? Let us also know that in the comments below. Also, if you enjoy our content, consider becoming a patron. Give you access to future tournaments, bonus giveaway entries, your nickname as part of our EDHCC club in the credits, and so much more. That's it for this week. Thanks for watching. Stay warm, stay safe, and keep on card gaming. Cheers. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode. If you're a fan of EDH gameplay and you like whether it be 1v1 or multiplayer and you want to be part of the ever-growing Command Your Challenge family, just make sure you smash the subscribe button and notification bell down below. We do weekly videos. Don't forget as well to like, comment, share our videos, but most importantly, enjoy them. On behalf of all of our members here, I'm your host, BT. Feel free to check out all of the videos in the channel, join our game. It's now your turn. Cheers!